Hello, I'm Amreen Imran. I'm a registered dietitian. I have experience in clinical dietetics, eating disorders, and weight management. I'm here to talk to you about eating for health. So let's get into it. Now, the question is, what is a healthy lifestyle? How do you know how to be healthy? There's so much information around you. There's so many people around you who are doing diet A, B, C, D. Like, what do you do? Do you start doing what other people are doing? You're confused. Your doctor is telling you your BMI is high. Your doctor is telling you you're overweight. Your doctor is telling you to lose weight. You just don't know what to do. How do you know what a healthy lifestyle is? Do you go to Dr. Google? So let's start talking about that a little bit more. So let me tell you how this presentation is going to go ahead. I'm going to debunk some fad diets. Why? Because as I just said, people are just confused. They want to be healthy. They don't know what to do. Somebody's following a keto diet. They're like, great, let's do that. That doesn't work. Then they try a low carbohydrate diet. That doesn't work. So keeps going on and it's a vicious cycle. So I'm going to help you understand how fat diets work or not work. And then we're going to learn what a healthy lifestyle is, and then some tips about how to have a healthy lifestyle, the small changes that we can make in our lives and work towards having a healthy lifestyle. So the first diet that I'm going to talk about is a keto diet. What is a keto diet? A keto diet is a high fat and a low carbohydrate diet. This diet was actually made for children with epilepsy, and it is a diet which is very hard for a lay person to follow. This diet has to be conducted under supervision of a dietitian. So when people think they're following a keto diet, they're probably just doing a low carbohydrate diet, because to actually follow keto diet, you have to have a really high amount of fat and a low amount of carbohydrate, and it has to be measured. So once you cross that threshold of carbohydrate, you're actually not following a keto diet. So people think they're following a keto diet, but they're not. So again, keto diet made for children with epilepsy, very hard for a layperson to follow. And the most important thing is it is not sustainable. So anything that is not sustainable perhaps is not the best idea to follow. The second diet that I'm going to talk about is a low carbohydrate diet. What is a low carbohydrate diet? Basically, people limit their carbohydrates. But research shows that there's nothing as a low carbohydrate diet. It's actually carb replacement, because people don't understand all the foods that have carbohydrates. They think that they're limiting their bread, rice, pasta, and they're following a low carbohydrate diet, but most probably they're also eating other foods such as yogurt, milk, fruits. So they're taking in their carbohydrates, but they just don't know. But the other thing is that, let's say they are eliminating all the carbohydrates from their life. They may lose weight on it because they're taking out a whole food group. But again, it's not sustainable, so people cannot do it for a long term. So what happens is that they eventually have weight gain. So the last fat diet that I'm going to talk about is intermittent fasting. So what is intermittent fasting? So again, this is again a diet where people are fasting for a certain number of hours in the day, and everybody has a different window. For example, one could be 18 to 6. So again, research has shown that there's some benefits in fasting, but if somebody's fasting for example, 10 days in a year, some people fast for example, some religions, they follow 30 days, 40 days. So just for a limited amount of time, if you're fasting, it can have some benefits, those, as people say, detox benefits. It can have some benefits, but if you do it for a long period of time, this could have, the stress on your body could be more than the benefits. And again, it's not sustainable. So what you see happening is that people are fasting, but because they can't sustain it, they stop fasting and they gain the weight back, and then again they fast. So it's more like a yo-yo cycle type of thing. And again, anything that is not sustainable should be avoided. Conclude our fat diet section before we move on. So basically, dieting and diets eventually lead to weight gain because they're not sustainable. And research has shown that once you gain the weight back, it takes 3 times longer to lose the weight. Experiments have been conducted where rats have been put on a diet, they've lost the weight, but then they've gained the weight back, and then the gain weight took 3 times longer to lose. So again, it's not healthy for the body to keep being in a yo-yo cycle where you're gaining and losing, gaining and losing. So any kind of fat diet is perhaps not the best idea. Following more of a healthy lifestyle is the way to go forward. So let's start talking about that now. So the key to a healthy lifestyle is basically knowing your portion sizes and portion control. Portion control is the key to your healthy lifestyle. You can basically eat anything you want as long as you know how much of it is you're eating. So if you look at this plate, it sort of gives us our portions. Part of our plate should be fruits, vegetables, grains, proteins, and dairy. Now, again, this leads us to knowing that it's very important to eat all food groups. When you talked about like fat diets, that is the reason why I talked about fat diets, because fat diets make you eliminate one food group from your diet. But all food groups are very important, and I'll get more into it. So our food groups are carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. So it's important to have all food groups. And then if you're trying to be healthy, it's important to have more meals cooked at home. I know there are times when you won't be able to do that, but at least most of your meals should be at home. Then if you're trying to be healthy, it's also important, or it's helpful if you start reading labels. And again, like watching your sodium intake and watching that added sugar intake. So these are all the key elements to having a healthy lifestyle. As I just mentioned, that the key to being healthy is portion control. I'm going to give you portion sizes for protein, carbohydrates, fats, sodium, and added sugar. So I'm going to start talking about carbohydrates and their portion sizes. Carbohydrates, again, is a very important food group. All food groups are important. I keep emphasizing that. Please do not cut out any food group. But carbohydrates are from either grains, fruits, starchy vegetables such as peas, corns, and potatoes. They're also in yogurt and milk. However, the carbohydrates that I'm focusing on here are grains and fruits. But it's important to know why carbohydrates are good for us. So carbohydrates provide us energy. And if you know that the only source of food that our brain gets is from carbohydrate, anything that converts into sugar is a carbohydrate, basically. So let's talk about grains here. The recommended size for grains, or recommended portions that you should eat in a day for grains, is 3 to 6 ounces. Now, to understand what an ounce is, for example, a slice of bread is an ounce. A small tortilla is an ounce, or a serving size, or 1 cup of cereal is a serving size. For example, half cup of brown rice. And the other important thing is that half of your grains that you eat in a day should be whole grains. Now, why are whole grains important for us? Because they provide us with fiber. Why is fiber good for us? Because it basically slows down our absorption of glucose in our body. It also keeps us full longer, and it's good for our digestive system. So it is recommended to have 2 cups of fruit daily. Now, this is how the portion sizes work. For example, a medium whole fruit, for example, a medium apple or an orange, is 1 portion size, or 1 cup of cut up fruit is, a portion size. And if you're having some juice, it's half cup of fruit juice, and if it's dried fruit, is again half cup. Now here, what I want you to understand, or I want to emphasize, is that it's better to have raw fruit than just juice, because juice is just direct sugar intake, where you're eliminating fiber. So for example, if you're having an orange, versus an orange juice. The orange gives you fiber with it, so it has more benefits. Fiber again is beneficial for you because it slows down absorption of glucose, and it also keeps you full longer. So the recommended portion size for vegetables is 2.5 cups daily. Now, if it looks a lot, you'll be like, how am I ever going to have 2.5 cups of vegetables? But for example, if you're having salad for lunch, if you take leafy greens and if you measure them, it's basically like, a size of your fist if you don't have a cup in front of you. But if you measure with a cup, it's 2 cups of your, the leafy greens, and then 1 cup is another, maybe cucumbers, tomatoes. So it's doable. It's not a lot. It's just, it sounds a lot. So the recommended portion size for vegetables is 2.5 cups of vegetables daily. Protein either comes from animal sources or plant-based sources. Animal sources are chicken, fish, meat, cheese, yogurt, milk. Plant sources are beans, peas, lentils, chickpeas. So it is recommended that one should have around 5.5 ounces of protein daily. So some of the protein equivalents are listed here, which is around 1/4 cup of our beans, peas, or lentils, or 1/4 cup or 2 ounces of tofu, 1/2 ounce of nuts or seeds, 1 ounce of seafood, 1 egg or 2 egg whites. So what is recommended is to have more plant-based protein and more lean protein for heart health. Lean protein is chicken and fish, anything which is like low-fat, white meat based. And in fact, it is recommended to have fish at least twice a week. And protein is very important because it builds our muscles, nails, skin, hair. So we're going to talk about all food groups, and protein is one of the food group, and it is a very important food group as well. So we come to fats now. Now, whenever people hear the word fat, they think it is something that has to be avoided. Like any food group, fats are very important for us. Fats help protect our organs. Fat also are important for us because they are good for our brain, our mental health. But it is important to have the right kind of fats, the healthy fats such as avocados, nuts, seeds. Now the portion sizes for fats, for example, is around 9 teaspoons in a day, 2 to 3 servings of fat oil per day. So if you're having the correct kind of fats, they will actually help you with your health, because the right fats also increase your HDL, which is part of our cholesterol. So one should avoid any kind of tropical oil such as coconut, palm, or any animal fats such as lard and butter. But to cut down on whole food groups is perhaps not the best idea. So let's talk about sodium and sodium intake. So why is it important to watch out for sodium? Sodium, if not watched, can lead to a higher risk of cardiovascular diseases or hypertension. So people sometimes think the only source of sodium is salt, but they don't understand the hidden sources of sodium, such as through meats, which are deli meats or processed meats, and canned products. So that's why it is recommended to have fruits and vegetables which are fresh and meats which are fresh, because these are lower in sodium. Now, the recommended amount of sodium for a healthy individual is 1 teaspoon or 2300 milligrams of sodium. So once you're buying anything, for example, you're buying canned product, for example, or any product, so start reading labels and see that the amount for sodium is less than 140 milligrams. So again, important to watch out how much sodium you're taking in, because sodium can be a silent killer. one part of staying healthy is that you're able to read labels. Why am I saying that? Because I did emphasize that most of your meals should be home cooked, but I understand that it's not always possible. Sometimes you're buying packaged products or you're buying canned goods. So if you know how to read a label, this is helpful. So the things that I want to point out are total fat, saturated fat, and trans fat. So when you're buying something, see that the total fat in the package is less than 5 grams. So for someone who is on a 2000 calorie diet, 50 to 75 grams of fat per day is a good range. And for saturated fat, see that it's less than 2 grams per serving. And trans fat should always be 0. So for example, somebody who's on a 2000 calorie diet, again, now the saturated fat in a day, the range could be around 11 grams to 15 grams. So we already talked about sodium levels. I gave you a good range for sodium, what to look for in sodium, less than 140 milligrams per serving. And the other thing that I want to point out is sugar intake. So whenever you're buying something, the sugar, added sugar, should be less than 5 grams. So for women, the amount of sugar in a day allowed is 6 teaspoons, and for men, it's 9 teaspoons. So these are some things that can help you gauge what kind of products you're buying. Tips which can help you work towards having that healthy lifestyle. So the first one is meal prepping. Why is meal prepping important, and what is meal prepping? So basically, meal prepping means that you buy things ahead of time. You keep some half cooked, some fresh, and some cooked, so that when you're eating in the week, you have things available. Because what happens is that we are so rushed that we don't have time to cook every day, and then we end up eating whatever is available. So if you meal prep, you have food available when you're actually hungry and you just quickly prep it. So some ways are you buy fresh fruits and vegetables and you keep them in containers so you can make salads, or you can mix in your stir fry, or whatever you're cooking. You can grill your chicken or your meats, and then those can also be mixed. And what you can do is you can have some foods available as in like cooked for the first part of the week, and once those are finished, you can use the prepped ones for the later part of the week. So these are some practical, easy ways of how you can have a healthy lifestyle. And again, important to have fresh fruits and vegetables. Why are fruits and vegetables important for us? They give us fiber, they give us antioxidants, they give us minerals and vitamins. And again, I talked about having healthy fats. I talked about eating lean protein. Healthy fats are good for our brain health. They give us omega-3 fatty acids. Lean protein is good for our cardiovascular health. And limiting sugar intake is really important. So most of the issues, basically, research is showing, are caused by higher added sugar intake. So make sure you're watching out your added sugar intake. And again, another tip is that if you're eating out, because obviously, although I say eat most meals at home, it's not always easy. So when you're eating out, start looking for healthy options, start looking at sodium levels. And if let's say you're eating in a restaurant, your serving size is huge, for example. So what you can do is you can either eat half or 1/4, depending on how much you think you're hungry for, and you can pack the rest and you can eat that later on the next day or for dinner. And you can also look for healthier options like salads or grilled products and foods with less sodium. So another way of being healthy is try and engage in activities which reduce stress. So research again is showing that most of our problems are caused because of stress. So hypertension, cardiovascular disease, even cancer, these are all stress induced. So try and do meditation, yoga, try and include some kind of exercise in your routine. It is recommended to do 30 minutes of exercise or physical activity 5 days a week, but do what you like, do what suits you, and start small, take baby steps. For example, some practical ways are that you can start taking stairs instead of using your elevator, and park your car away from the grocery shops and start walking to the grocery shops, and maybe start with 10 minutes a day and then build it up. So there's some like easy ways of doing small changes, basically baby steps, to start being healthier. Thing I want to emphasize here that to be healthy, you don't have to overspend. So you can be healthy on a budget. You don't have to buy organic products. You don't have to use things which are not locally grown. So it's important to find locally grown produce. So don't have to overspend, don't have to buy things which are out of season, buy seasonal foods, buy foods which are locally grown. Let me recap. We talked about how to eat healthy, what are the ways you can start having a healthier lifestyle. We talked about diets available in the market. We debunked all the diets. We talked about how dieting is not the best way going forward, because dieting just leads to weight gain because it's not consistent. So you diet for a bit and then you stop dieting and then you gain the weight. So we talked about how making healthier choices and having a healthier lifestyle is the way going forward. So then we also talked about portion sizes, portion control, food groups. We talked about including exercise in our daily life. So what I want to emphasize now is that make small changes. Maybe start taking baby steps. Start making one change a week. For example, if you were eating 7 days outside of home, now eat 5 days at home. And if you're indulging once in a while, if you eat something outside which you think, oh my God, I should not have, it's fine. But most of the time, try and make those healthy choices. And again, I cannot emphasize enough how important it is to portion control. So the key to everything is portion control. If you're controlling your portions, you should be gold. And again, including some kind of exercise in your daily life is very important. But again, start small and then build on it. So that's it from me right now. Let me know if you have any questions and please get in touch with me. Thank you.